Okay, so the 4000 series picks up in 1958 or so, and it starts out with 4001, Sonny Rollins, Nuke's Time, and that's maybe his last Blue Note. And this is some of Jimmy Smith's finest work here. 4002, House Party, and it's coupled up with the Sermon, which comes here in a minute. Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, 4003, Moanin', classic piece. More Blakey, A Holiday for Skins, 4004, 4005. Those are both Japanese pressings. Dizzy Reese, the Jamaican UK trumpeter here with Donald Byrd and Art Taylor. Reese is a fantastic player. That's his Blue Note debut. This is Donald Byrd's Blue Note debut as a leader. Jackie McLean, Pepperata, great stuff. 4008, Horace Silver Quintet. And I think by this point he's got his classic lineup in place with Lou Mitchell and Junior Cook, Eugene Taylor and Lewis Hayes. Silver's stuff from this period I think is fantastic. Bud Powell's last Blue Note session, Scene Changes. Benny Green, I think it's his second or third Blue Note, Walking and Talking. Great, soulful, swinging trombone player. There's the Sermon, which is kind of coupled up with House Party. Just fantastic players with Morgan Donaldson, George Coleman, Tina Brooks, Kenny Burrell, Art Blakey. It's some pretty serious hitters there. I got 2 copies of that. Can't pass up a nice one for cheap when you see it. Lou Donaldson +3, which is basically him with the 3 sounds. That's a wonderful record. Jackie McLean's Blue Note debut. He's been at Ad Lib. He did some stuff at Jubilee. He's been at Prestige. And now he comes over to Blue Note. And he really starts becoming one of the prominent Blue Note figures of this era with Donald Byrd, Walter Davis, Pete LaRocca. This is the second 3 Sounds record. And I love that record. I've been playing that at gigs for a long time. Beautiful old record. This is a much later pressing at the Jazz Corner of the World. And that's got a second volume as well. If I remember, doesn't Mobley come back for this? Yep. Mobley makes a brief return there. Blowing the Blues, Horace Silver Quintet. Just great stuff. 4018, Walter Davis Jr., who makes a brief appearance with the Jazz Messengers. Great player. Donald Byrd's second to Blue Note, 4019, Bird in Hand. Then we got the 3 Sounds third record, 4020. Good deal. Love that record. Love that cover. Kenny Burrell. This is the second to last Blue Note on View at the 5 spot. It's a great little record. Duke Pearson's debut at Blue Note. Fantastic piano. I think it's a trio set if I remember. And he's an A&R guy. Kind of feels like Quebec shoes when like Quebec passes. And I'm a big fan of Duke Pearson. Dizzy Reese, the British trumpet player, that's his second Blue Note with Mobley, Wynton Kelly, and Paul Chambers. There's Jackie McLean's second Blue Note. So some pretty heavy hitters happening here in the early 4000 sequence. Lou Donaldson's about to kind of graft himself into what I call his Blue Note cool era, where it's not really the boogaloo yet, but he's got the congas and often guitar, and it's just fun, light, wonderful music to sit and hang out to. Donald Byrd Fuego with Jackie McLean, Duke Pearson, pretty serious record. Freddie Red Quartet with Jackie McLean, The Connection. It's a pretty tough one to come by, honestly. The great Horace Parland, who works with Mingus at times, moves to Denmark after his Blue Note career. This is a fantastic, I think that's his first one on Blue Note. More great Blakey Messenger stuff, The Big Beat, with Morgan and Shorter and Timmons. Jimmy Smith, still doing his thing at 4030. A classic record there, Soul Station, 4031. Big fan of Sonny Red, a great player, great little record. Dizzy Reese, again, sounding off. Probably my favorite Dizzy Reese. There's no other horns on this one, so it gives him a lot of room to kind of shine. Really enjoyed that one quite a lot over the years. Leeway, Lee Morgan. He does a lot of stuff for Blue Note, even though he departs for a while and goes to VJ after that. He comes back and jumps right back into it. That's Duke Pearson's second Blue Note, Tender Feelings. Super big fan of this record. I'm a Fool to Want You. The Golden Striker on Green Dolphin Street, 3 a.m. It's just great stuff. Lou Donaldson's Sunny Side, great stuff with Layman Jackson, Della Harewood, Sam Jones, and Horace Parland, and Bill Hardman on the trumpet. More great Horace Parland right there with George Tucker and Al Harewood. Jackie McLean, Capuchin Swing. Look Out, Stanley Turrentine, another Stanley Turrentine record you don't see a lot of. His early records don't seem to have the same availability. You don't see them, I guess, is what I'm saying. This is Freddie Hubbard's Blue Note debut in probably late 59. But Beautiful is a great ballad he plays on that. Just a fantastic cooking record with Tina Brooks. And that means that Tina Brooks is next, his debut, True Blue. And sadly, Hubbard goes on to big things, and Tina Brooks kind of falls into obscurity. Horace Parland, Horoscope, great record. Speaking of my piece, Horace Parland Quintet. So you can see he gets quite a few records here. Just banging them out. There's the Three Sounds Moods, but their fourth or fifth record. It's a great record. Play that one a lot at my gigs. Freddie Red's second record, Shades of Red, with Tina Brooks, Jackie McLean, Paul Chambers, and Louis Hayes. The great Duke Jordan, who was a part of the bebop scene. He moved to Europe, what he does, and kind of becomes obscure here in America. Dave Burns, this is a great Art Taylor record. The great drummer who's on so many sessions. Donald Byrd, Bird in Flight, great record with Jackie McLean, Hank Mobley, Duke Pearson. Art Blakey, Night in Tunisia, which is his second record that he called this. He also did one on RCA and Vic. That's my dog. Thank you very much, Kira. And then Home Cooking from 5960. That's Jimmy Smith. So that's the first half of this series. Okay, so the second half of the 4000 series, Jackie McLean, Jackie's Bag with Donald Byrd, Sonny Clark, Paul Chambers, and Philly Joe. And let's say Blue Mitchell and Tina Brooks are on some tracks as well. This is Tina Brooks' second record, which wasn't officially released until much later. Sad story, Tina Brooks was a great player. I love Lightfoot. Herman Foster's on this, Ray Barretto. Barretto really brings some flavor to what he does. Meet You at the Jazz Corner of the World, Volume 1. 55 is Volume 2 on that one. 56 is Freddie Hubbard's second record as a leader. Big fan of Hubbard, as I've said many times, with Mobley and McCoy. Stanley Turrentine with the Three Sounds, another great record. Mobley Roll Call. I always find Roll Call and Workout such interesting Mobley exposés, because with this one, with Winston Kelly and Freddie Hubbard and Art Blakey, you have this fairly aggressive, rhythmic record. And then when you have Grant Green and Wynton Kelly with Mobley on Workout, the records just feel night and day different. Kenny Drew, what a great record. Undercurrent, that song is just incredible. Donald Byrd, The Half Note with Pepper Adams and Duke Pearson. That was his working group for a while with Layman Jackson and Lex Humphreys. There's Volume 2 on that. Horace Parland, Heading South. Great cover, great group. George Tucker, Al Harewood, plus Ray Barretto. Barretto makes quite a few appearances at Blue Note here in this period. Whistle Stop, Kenny Dorham. He makes a return to Blue Note for a minute. Grant Green, there's his rival, 4064. Great record with Babyface Willette and Ben Dixon on the drums. Stanley Turrentine, another one you don't see very much coming your way. You gotta love Stanley the Man. Stan the Man. Here it is with Babyface Willette, Dave Bailey, and Grant Green. I love Lou Donaldson's records from this era. I think they're just fantastic. Blues Nick, Jackie McLean. Great cover. It's a pretty, he's starting to get towards some edges here, McLean, along with Freddie Hubbard and Kenny Drew and Doug Watkins, Pete LaRocca. There's Babyface Willette, the fantastic organ player, who, was kind of hired to replace Jimmy Smith along with Big John Patton. And there was no replacing Jimmy Smith, but you hope to kind of bring some sales anyway. At Minton, Stanley Turrentine, that's also got a volume 2 to it. Blue Note in this era doesn't do greatest hits. They don't do Christmas records. They don't do gatefolds. They don't do double LPs. They don't do label compilations. It's just record after record, release after release of new original material with really no holds barred. It's really as black as they want it to be, as aggressive as they want it to be. Grant Green's second record, probably like his third or fourth session with Ben Tucker and Dave Bailey, fantastic. Three Sounds, Veal and Cool with Gene Harris, Andrew Simpkins, and Bill Dowdy. That's the trio. Again, you gotta love Three Sounds stuff. You just do. Hubcap, Freddie Hubbard, great stuff. Hubbard becomes kind of a mainstay for a while. This is Horace Parland off the spur of the moment. This has Tommy Turrentine on it, who's quite fiery on this one, along with Stanley Turrentine, George Tucker, and Al Harewood. And then 4075, The Catwalk, Donald Byrd, with Pepper Adams and Duke Pearson and his working group from that era. And we'll move on to the last part of the series. So wrapping up the Blue Note 4000 sequence, 4076, Horace Silver doing the thing, The Village Gate. Dexter Gordon's arrival at Blue Note, 4077, probably 1960. Don't think we made it to 61 yet. Midnight Special, another great Jimmy Smith record with Stanley Turrentine. Kenny Burrell's on that. I forgot Burrell was on that. Big Burrell guy. Lou Donaldson, Gravy Train. He's starting to go towards the Boogaloo sound there. Workout, Hank Mobley, again, great record with Wynton Kelly and Grant Green being the other soloists around Hank Mobley. And that's just a lot different than you have Blakey and Hubbard. Green's pretty chill, Kelly's rhythmic. It's just a much different sounding record than Soul Station or Roll Call. A rare Stanley Turrentine record you don't see much at all, 4081. Dearly Beloved, Horace Parland, Up and Down, great session with Booker Irvin and Grant Green. You gotta love that. Dexter Calling, he starts to make a real impact at Blue Note. Makes some just really well-regarded records. Stop and Listen, the second Babyface Willette record, and he's done now. He moves on to Argo, makes a few records there. Freddie Hubbard, Ready for Freddie, and Freddie's doing some of the most aggressive up-tempo stuff at Blue Note. Grant Stan, soul jazz at Blue Note, really starting to take shape. Leo Parker, a guy that's kind of forgotten, an important baritone player who part of the Unholy Four, playing back with Billy Eckstein's group with those other great tenor players like Sonny Stitt and Gene Ammons and Dexter Gordon. Here Come the Three Sounds, done a great album cover. Got the car, looks like they're cruising down, perhaps by the park. It could be in Harlem, it's hard to tell. It's 4088. A Fickle Sonnets, Jackie McLean, with Tommy Turrentine, Sonny Clark, Butch Warren. Mosaic, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers with Hubbard, Fuller, Shorter, Walton, and Jimmy Merritt. So that's probably Cedar Walton's first with the group. Sonny Clark's last record as a leader, sadly. He passes away not long after this. He'd left briefly, made a record somewhere else, came back, and then he OD'd, sadly. Kenny Clark and Francie Boland. Kenny Clark, of course, was a mainstay at Savoy Records, being their house drummer for most of the mid-50s. He ends up going to Europe and staying because of racism, and this is a session he recorded over there that Blue Note licensed. Heavy Soul, Quebec. He finally convinced the powers that be at Blue Note to let him have a record, full record as a leader. He had done some 45s back in the late 40s, but that were very much R&B. And Heavy Soul is just a great session. Hootin' and Tootin', Fred Jackson, very R&B-ish, jazz. Rollin' with Leo Parker, again, Leo Parker. This record was not issued, came out in Japan years later. Where's it at? Stanley Turrentine, Les McCann. Art Blakey, Africaine, which is one of those drum records that he likes to do. Blue and Sentimental, Quebec's second Blue Note. And Grant Green, Sunday Morning, Great soul gospel stuff. So anyway, that's the 4000 sequence. Great string of records. You gotta love what Blue Note does and accomplishes here in the late 50s, early 60s. It's just the most unwatered down. There's no compromise. There's no selling out, trying to make commercial stuff, doing Broadway musicals, doing the hits of movies, doing Christmas records. There's none of that. It's just the guys making the music they want to make, with two Jewish cats supervising and helping fund to make it happen. Not really even worried about the bottom line, which is part of the problem. You know, they didn't have the funds to really be this successful for that long. But the Blue Note canon is so valuable and so important. And it's a great barometer to measure what else is happening in jazz at this time. You know, and so if you can get that Blue Note canon kind of down, it gives you some reference point for what's happening at Riverside, Blue Note, Prestige, Savoy. When does Impulse come in the scene? Which Impulse will be coming around right towards the end of those 4000 series right there. So it just gives you some insight. You know, it helps you see Bethlehem's almost done by the time we're done with 4000 sequence there. So we'll come back with the 4100 sequence on part 3. And then we'll probably do a part 4 where I do the post-sale Blue Note, as well as the Tone Poet stuff I got and some other Japanese stuff that was never issued. So we'll have at least 2 more episodes on this to do. I'll try to knock them out this week. We'll see how things go. You all be safe. Have a good day. There's some new t-shirts in the merch store. Check in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go to the Patreon page and make a small pledge. It's always appreciated. Michael Vasallo, thanks again for getting the gym membership. I'm down 6 pounds already, and I've played basketball 9 times now in the last 3 weeks. Already starting to feel stronger and having more energy and able to do more things over the course of the day. Playing sports for me is a good thing. So again, Michael Vasallo, cheers, my friend. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day. Peace.